Welcome to this video on Trump World. Well, folks, he's back. Like a lightning storm on a clear day, Donald J. Trump has made an unprecedented return to the Oval Office for a second, non-consecutive term. This historic turn of events, reminiscent of Grover Cleveland's presidency in the late 19th century, has left many Americans both astounded and uneasy. On January 20th, 2025, he was sworn in as the 47th President of the United States of America. And now begins the roller coaster of the next 4 years. The world watches closely. For some, there is optimism. For some others, apprehensions. What does a second Trump term mean for America and the world? How will the next 4 years reshape the global and domestic landscape? Trump's inaugural address was unequivocal. But will reality align with his vision? Questions abound, anxieties outweigh assurances, and uncertainties eclipse trust. One thing is certain. It's going to be a turbulent and unpredictable ride. Buckle up, America. The way forward, navigating challenges and opportunities. The path into the future is uncertain, shaped by competing interests and evolving global dynamics. The intentions and interests of individuals, governments, and corporations will intertwine to cast an entirely new die. While we can only draw tangents based on the most predictable trajectories, here's what might lie ahead on 3 main fronts: economic order, social landscape, and foreign policy. Liberal economic globalization is going to receive a setback. Trump's second term is poised to further erode liberal approaches to managing markets, economies, and societies. Key impacts include the era of decoupling. Globalization is already in recession, and decoupling, economically, financially, and technologically, is on the horizon. Economies deeply linked to China could face pressure to decouple from the U.S., especially in critical sectors such as semiconductors and advanced technologies. This will sharpen divisions in global economic alliances. The rise of protectionism. Trade patterns may shift dramatically as nations brace for anticipated tariff wars. For instance, Canada's foreign minister has already vowed retaliation against Trump's tariff threats. Chinese companies are actively seeking alternative markets and new manufacturing hubs to counteract U.S. policies. America's financial centrality remains unmatched. Despite growing foreign exchange reserves in the East and the rise of competing currencies, the U.S. still dominates the global financial system. Signs of de-dollarization are emerging, with energy transactions increasingly priced in non-USD currencies and new payment systems bypassing U.S. banks. However, the foundational strengths of the dollar remain strong, making significant de-dollarization unlikely for decades. While China and BRICS nations promote alternatives, the U.S. dollar will likely retain its role as the world's reserve currency, especially under Trump's presidency. Economic shifts in perspective. In 2016, the U.S. and China each held a 16.06% share of the global economy. By 2024, the U.S. share has declined to 14.84%, while China's has surged to 19.29%. Projections suggest this gap will widen further by 2029. Trump's tariff policies could further exacerbate inflationary trends, but his base remains optimistic about economic revitalization. Through his External Revenue Service, he envisions to save Americans from the negative impact of tariffs to be imposed on foreign goods, especially from China. But will it succeed? Economists are skeptical. On the sociocultural front, society turns right. Trump's presidency intensifies cultural shifts, with social values turning more conservative. His supporters rally around his ideology over personality, fueling transformative changes. How the gender equality, human rights, and racism will be impacted. Progressive movements face resistance as Trump's rhetoric emboldens regressive attitudes on gender equity, racial justice, and human egalitarianism. Woke ideologies, viewed by many as divisive, are likely to be marginalized further, energizing Trump's voter base. This is how he phrased his message: "I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. Free speech and anonymous speech, the things are getting blurred." Figures like Elon Musk are spearheading a new era of free speech. where anonymity becomes a critical asset. Trump has effectively used social media platforms to amplify his message, with TikTok alone generating 60 billion views of his content. And no wonder, TikTok is back too. Moving forward, expect Trump to maintain pressure on digital giants to align with his narrative, the crisis of orderly migration. Trump's policies reflect broader Western anxieties about demographic shifts. Nations may welcome labor, but resist granting rights or voting power to new immigrants, forcing democracies to adapt to these contradictions. An organic shift on foreign policy front seems inevitable. Trump's foreign policy is expected to remain transactional, pragmatic, and strategically disengaged, marked by key developments. NATO must share burden. During his first term, Trump pushed NATO countries to pay more for their defense. In his second term, he's expected to double down, possibly using withdrawal threats as a bargaining tactic. Give me Greenland. Trump's European gamble centers on Greenland. While Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen dismissed the idea as absurd, shifting dynamics suggest renewed possibilities. Greenland's Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, has shown conditional openness to negotiations, emphasizing the island's autonomy. A strategic arrangement granting the U.S. greater stakes in Greenland appears likely, ending the Ukraine war. Trump may push for an end to the Ukraine conflict, even if it requires Ukraine to cede territory to Russia. His focus on a U.S. China rivalry over Europe-Russia dynamics could lead to efforts to draw Russia closer to the U.S. orbit rather than China's. Middle East stability and Israel's security. Trump aims to revive the 2020 Abraham Accords, prioritizing Saudi-Israeli normalization. Preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons will remain a cornerstone of his strategy. In his inaugural address, he emphatically said, "My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be." Managing China. Trump's hawkish stance on China will persist, tempered by input from team members like Elon Musk, who adopt a more nuanced approach. Expect a mix of tough rhetoric and pragmatic trade deals as Sino-U.S. relations take center stage in his foreign policy. The Indo-U.S. partnership is poised to thrive like no other. In Trump's world order, India and America hold significant value for each other, creating a strategic alliance built on shared goals and mutual respect. Multilateralism under pressure. Trump views multilateral organizations as inefficient and parasitic. Institutions like the UN face heightened scrutiny, with bilateral alliances and transactional deals taking precedence. While this may weaken international law, historical resilience suggests it could endure. Amid the shifting world order, growing sociocultural conservatism, and nuanced foreign policy dynamics, America's dominance in technology and problem-solving remains unmatched. In the foreseeable future, America will continue to serve as the epicenter of creativity, innovation, and freedom, setting benchmarks for the rest of the world. However, with great power comes great responsibility for America and for the global community. The world looks to the United States to lead with positive engagement, shaping a trajectory toward global stability and a better future for humanity. Strategic disengagement, on the other hand, risks destabilizing both America's influence and the broader global order, negatively impacting all nations. In this era of intensified great power competition, economic realignments, and socio-political upheaval, nations must come together to confront uncertainties head-on. By embracing collaboration and innovation, we can create a future that prioritizes liberty, prosperity, and dignity for every individual on this planet. The choices made today will echo for generations to come, defining the course of history. So, what's next? Will Trump's second term be remembered as a turning point that elevated America and humanity to a higher level of organization and collaboration? Or will it signify another chapter in the cyclical pattern of rise and fall of nations? As the pages of this story begin to turn, one thing is clear: the choices made now will shape the future for generations to come. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe for more insights as we continue to explore the complexities and possibilities of our shared global future.